I'd love to welcome everyone to this exclusive launch of our new carbon simulator for the Teleperformance Cloud Campus work from home solution. This is truly groundbreaking. We're really excited to share this with you. We don't think this has been done before, but our goal with this tool is really to help companies, quantify and meet their greenhouse gas emission goals. So first, let's start with a high-level overview of the business benefits for just incorporating a work from home solution into your business. And for that, I want to introduce Fabio Luis, the head of work at home at Teleperformance. Fabio.
Thank you, Erin. Definitely today is a big milestone for us. Over the last years, we have been talking about the benefits of remote work in different dimensions, but sometimes we have been ignoring or putting in the second tier of priority the impact it brings into the environment. Today is the topic, saving carbon emissions, is more relevant than ever, and as we definitely navigate in a world that is changing, sustainability, environment responsibility is no longer an option, but is essential for us, for all of us, as there is no planet B. The way we work, the way we are going to work in the future is going to impact for sure the environment and the emissions we are generating. And remote work for sure represents a unique opportunity for us to reduce our carbon footprint and the impact we are creating in the world. And for sure, this is one of the top benefits, although there is several other benefits. I believe we have definitely not yet moving the maturity remote work is going to have in the future. And the reasons I'm saying that are several. Remote work is not only to address immediate challenges we are facing today, but organizations that are getting the adoption of remote work will be much more prepared and more resilient for the future. So let me give you a couple of reasons. If you think current situation as of now, short term, we continue to have a highly competitive labor market. Then we have also active population continue to shrink in the upcoming years. Another reason is companies that have adopted remote work, they are typically more digitalized. They have a higher level of virtualization and digitalization rather than office companies, which make those organizations much more agile, more flexible, and more capable to work anywhere. And as days pass by, new technologies are emerging, and will be easier tomorrow, will be easier in 1 year, 2 years, to train people from anywhere and make sure the performance variations across the employees are minimal. Another reason is unmatched business flexibility. Companies are much more prepared for health crises, natural disasters. Then if you think the need for staying competitive is today the game, the rule of the game, but will be tomorrow's rule of the game. And remote work, we all know, brings efficiencies from the cost side, where we can limit expenses related with resource mobilization, but also with real estate. And also, if you think, also give you the ability to combine shoring strategies where you can have people working in different geographies, and you can combine different shoring strategies to deploy resources and to meet customer demands. Then one more, if you think security is much more secure today, operate from home, versus what it was 3-4 years ago. And in the coming months, years, it will be even much more secure. If you think, again, your personal situation, probably 1 or 2 years ago, you were unlocking your smartphone with a PIN. Now today, most likely you are unlocking your phone with your face. So as this type of technologies become more commonly understood and accepted by the society, work at home will also continue to grow. Then you have also physical jobs. You might think this is utopia, but physical jobs are also becoming remote in the future. And let's think on the example of telemedicine. A few years ago was minimal telemedicine. Now telemedicine is a booming industry and is not only telehealth. If you think about artificial intelligence, metaverse, all the technology advancements we see, more jobs are going to become remote probably. So then diversity. Work at home helps companies to achieve their diversity goals. And it's pretty straightforward that diversity and remote work work very well. And that last, and the topic of today's call, and I would say the most important item is the huge demand for reducing greenhouse gas emissions. And to prevent the worst effects of climate change, we must expect mandatory and regulatory impositions from the governments in the upcoming years, where companies might need to be required to present tangible actions to reduce their emissions. So basically, these are a few benefits that remote work bring to the companies. And I will close with my personal experience. So remote work is not a merely short-term solution, but I see as a strategic move towards building a more resilient, future-ready for any organization. So embracing remote work is not just the present, but companies that do that embed remote work in their operating model, they are investing in a much more sustainable, efficient, and a competitive future.
Great. And yeah, it's such a prevalent thing right now, people working remotely or businesses using a hybrid model. We ourselves at Teleperformance, about 50% of our workforce remains remote. So these are definitely, tried and true and tested solutions. So that's great. And you're right. This is a perfect example of, being a dispersed team, because I know we're joining this session from all around the world. So with that, let's get back to sustainability, though, because that's also a key component. So I'd love to introduce Jack Belcher, the co-founder and VP at the Center of ESG and Sustainability. So Jack, can you share a little bit more about, how we can adopt decarbonization and, what's ahead?
Absolutely. Thanks, Erin. And to put this all in context, I mean, we're really looking at a global push that's going on right now for decarbonization. And that push is coming from multiple drivers. It's starting out with things that at the highest level, we've got the Paris Agreement, which is a legally binding agreement that 195 nations around the world have signed, pledging to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions and striving to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Fahrenheit. It's also being pushed by individual governments, investors, NGOs, and consumers. So that Paris Agreement, every year, nations around the world are meeting again through the UN, and they're making even greater commitments to reducing their greenhouse gas emissions. And that driver is impacting individual nations around the world. For instance, the EU, through its EU climate law, its taxonomy, and the European Green Deal are big drivers impacting all of this. In the United States, we've got the Securities and Exchange Commission climate disclosure rulemaking underway. We've got EPA's greenhouse gas regulations and the Inflation Reduction Act. All of these things are major drivers, and increasingly they're affecting global trade. So the EU has the Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism, which is a global trade requirement that's going to make companies and institutions meet smaller and smaller carbon content requirements. So those drivers are also impacting global finance, right? And so banks and financiers are now leading the charge for decarbonization and net zero commitments. They're tying all this to finance. Investors are taking charge too. Green investing is a growing thing. Investment dollars are increasingly being tied to the performance of companies, their ESG performance, their net zero performance. So banks, private capital, investors are all in the game as major drivers for net zero and lower greenhouse gas emissions and higher performance in terms of ESG. To do business in the world today, you have to have climate and net zero commitments. And you have to have a plan in place in order to achieve those commitments. And to make that plan possible, it's important to have processes and tools at your disposal. With so much pressure being applied to carbon and ESG performance, and so much attention being focused on greenwashing, accuracy is extremely important. So having a tool in place that can show the real numbers, that you can justify those numbers in terms of your carbon reductions, is absolutely critical. Teleperformance's carbon simulator enables companies to do just that, to quantify those emissions reductions and help companies achieve their goals in terms of carbon and net zero commitments. And it's done in a way that's quantifiable, verifiable, and certified. Back to you, Erin.
That's great. Yeah, and you're so right. It's such a top of mind issue for for customers, for workers, really for everyone around the world right now. It's really top of mind. So I think that's, all very, very important. And I guess to talk about it from the teleperformance side, I'd love to introduce Clementine Gauthier. She is our Senior Vice President of Corporate Responsibility at Teleperformance. So Clementine, why don't you share the TP perspective on this topic?
Sure. So I will reiterate on everything Jack has said. It's critical today to have quantifiable tools to claim for any carbon saving emissions. That's very, very important. And that's what we intend to accomplish through this carbon simulator. So the way it works is pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Basically, anyone, any client, prospect, or any stakeholder at all can go to the simulator, and depending on the number of employees, the different scenarios, let's say, okay, I want a simulation with 10% of people working at home, or 20 or 30. You can work on different hypotheses. And you can also work on different geographies because, of course, depending on where you're based, you have also different outputs. So once you enter all of this information, you get a simple quantification of how many carbon emissions you can save by adopting work at home scenario over a brick and mortar setup. So that's the way you can then claim that work at home, and using, for example, our TP Cloud Campus solution can help achieve your carbon reduction goals. So by launching this simulator, basically at Teleperformance, we really intend here to be an active player and to help our own clients and value chain in achieving their own environmental objectives.
Great. And to hear more about, how everything is calculated, we've got Jim Duncan, the Deputy Director for Private Engagement at Columbia, to kind of break it down for us. So, Jim, take it away.
Thank you, Erin. The climate scientists that work in these areas in the International Research Institute for Climate and Society at Columbia cover most of the world with their research and their front wave evaluation skills. And Teleperformance Carbon Simulator does just that. It provides an accurate assessment of the greenhouse gas emission savings through telecommuting. So if you've ever contemplated or you needed to investigate the possibilities for real value propositions associated with telecommuting, then this tool is unique. We haven't run into it before. Just last week, I did a keynote address at an energy conference. I've done several of those across all sectors, and we talked about quantifying things like ESG, quantifying telecommuting. When I say we, I talked about it, and there was a very big question mark across the stage of people who wanted more information about valuation, quantification of even things as remote as fugitive emissions. And we did talk about telecommuting, and we did talk about Teleperformance's carbon simulator. The carbon simulator, after rigorous assessment, the methodologies behind it, the calculations within it are accurately going to show GHG emission savings achieved by your employees within a telecommuting framework. So its ability to make these determinations with multiple variables, you need to provide things like geographic location, seasonality, and all of these give, based on our assessment, rigorous assessment, a superior standard for calculating real quantification of greenhouse gas emissions in this area.
Great. And as you mentioned, it's quantifiable. So it's not just, talking the talk, it's walking the walk. So, companies can demonstrate and really tangibly show the impact they're having. And, I love your point about it being accurate and all of that, because I know this tool took many months to develop. So, Fabio, I think, your team took And Clementine, you guys took almost a year to develop this, make sure it's accurate, kind of check everything. So I know it's been thoroughly created. With that, Fabio, can you share with people, kind of where to find the tool, and, a little more about what information needs to be entered for them to get a better idea of what they can save?
Yes, for sure. And it took almost a year, definitely. And that's why we have a spirit of full transparency. And at the end of the simulator, the individual, the user, is provided with a detailed description of the methodology we have applied, and also with a certificate of compliance behind the simulator. It's pretty straightforward, pretty easy. It's just visiting teleperformance.com website. You will find the work at home section, and there you will find the work at home carbon saving simulator. Clementine previously described a bit the simulator. You basically need to provide some information about how many employees you have today in your organization, where are they working, what is the current percentage of work at home staff, or what is the percentage of work at home staff you would like to have in the future. And at the end, you will receive a very comprehensive report with numbers, clean numbers about how many CO2 savings you are going to generate if you move from X amount of people from office to remote. But also we also use icons to illustrate the impact of these savings, like how much cars you are avoiding on the roads if you transition X amount of your staff from office to remote. And definitely, Erin, this simulator is all about making informed decisions about remote work environmental benefits. And this simulator gives that to anyone that uses.
That's great. Yeah, I commend the team on the hard work. And I know it's part of our broader vision in terms of, corporate responsibility. So Clementine, really quickly, just share, with us how this fits into your broader vision for the future.
Absolutely. Yeah, at Teleperformance, we have been long committed to the environment through our Citizen of the Planet program. We have an intention of being net zero by 2040 and have a lot of initiatives going on to achieve this goal. We have set ambitious carbon reduction targets validated by the Science Based Target Initiative. And work at home is one of the drivers, of course. And with this simulator, really want to cascade this positive effect to our entire ecosystem, starting with our clients, of course, and prospects. And we really hope that it will help collectively achieve these very, very important goals.
That's great. So I guess to close out, Fabio and Jack, just share with us, what next steps, look like, how we can help companies and clients out there be more sustainable and socially responsible.
I would say the secret is simple. It's not only moving people from office to remote. We need to make sure when people is working from office, they are working in an efficient and secure environment. And at Teleperformance, we continue committed to provide comprehensive, flexible work solutions to our clients and customers. And through Teleperformance Cloud Campus, we provide an integrated digital hiring, training, and robust operations management platform that offers unlimited access to resources in any language, any time zone to our customers. And we keep these remote teams connected and engaged in a very secure environment. Today, Teleperformance has this immense suite of cutting-edge technologies, either for improving security or optimize operations that can be adjusted to each business need. So we are highly committed to help organizations to capitalize the benefits of remote work.
Throughout this process, I've been so impressed with the way Teleperformance has been dedicated to ensuring that their products meet the protocols, the globally accepted protocols that are out there. And so we worked very hard with them through the process to ensure that the product the simulator was aligned with the global protocols. That's extremely important as we move forward in a world where there are more and more products out there that are trying to achieve greenhouse gas emissions reductions. Moving forward, we plan to work closely with Teleperformance as they bring out new products and make enhancements to existing products in order to achieve greenhouse gas reductions. It's absolutely critical that you have a third party out there that's ensuring that these products work, that they're aligned with global protocols, and that they actually do what they say they're going to do. We look forward to working with Teleperformance moving forward And if you would like to talk to us about your product and certify your product, you can contact us here with the Center for ESG and Sustainability. Thanks very much for your time today, and we look forward to working with you moving forward.
Great. Thanks so much, everyone, for everyone's collaboration on this amazing project. It is such a critical issue in our world right now. So, I really commend this team for all the in-depth work you've invested in making this, a really tangible tool. So with that, I'm going to thank all of our panelists and our viewers. We appreciate everyone's time, and please contact us if we can help you in meeting any of your own sustainability goals.